All right, welcome back to God Bless Golf. Let's get right into it. Scottsdale, Arizona, Waste Management Open. Chris Gotterup, who Richie Spice predicted last week, someone to look out for. It's amazing how many times he is correct. But all seriousness, shout out. What a great tournament. What did we learn? I don't know. But one thing for sure is the environment is waste management is very unique to the PGA Tour. And I love a lot of what it's about. There's some things that, are a little crazy. And we'll certainly get into that as far as things that happened outside the ropes. But as far as inside the ropes, some clutch performances, some great examples of mental toughness. And unfortunately, no matter how good you are at golf, you're going to have one of those moments. Hideki certainly doesn't lack mental toughness or clutch ability. He just had a day. And I think it's relatable to all of those who there's nothing worse than being afraid to swing through it because you know it's going to snap hook. But if you don't swing through it, it's going to go 70 yards right. And trying to find that timing, especially in the middle of a tournament, especially coming down the stretch. Just unfortunate set of circumstances, but a huge win for Chris Gotterup. And certainly putting his stamp on 2026 is, hey, look at me. Maybe don't look at my swing, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your swing looks like. The guy that he beat by one shot, who would teach that swing? He's the best player in the world right now. So a lot of different ways to do it. And that was just some exciting stuff. What is your take on the entire week as far as waste management, how TPC Scottsdale sets up, why the 16th hole is so cool? We're going to get into all that and just the pressure of that event versus regular tour events. Spice, what's your take on that one right there as far as the pressure playing waste management versus the pressure playing the Valspar on a Friday?
Totally different deals, right? Number one, the Waste Management is a world golf tournament. Would we agree with that?
Yes.
Not a world golf championship, but it's a world golf tournament.
Yeah,
People
it's a big
know
deal.
it.
And it's
Yeah.
always on Super Bowl weekend.
Right. And so there's that pairing. There's millions of people watching sports already. If it is a CBS Super Bowl, Waste Management into CBS is a great link. I think, this week, what did we learn? We learned Waste Management necessarily hasn't changed. Scottsdale gets a little crazier or a little weirder every year. I think it was a little better this year. I haven't talked to anybody who went, but seemed to be a good golf tournament up until the end there when, people were on the grounds for maybe a little bit too long. We had some unfortunate circumstances, like you said, on some mental toughness maybe for one side or the other. Chris Gotterup coming out strong, doing the damage I asked him to do. Really, super proud of that. And seeing him become a clutch player, but you don't just get it started and hope, so kudos to him. And that I think anytime you see Scheffler, Bhatia, Siwoo Kim, some young guys, Thorbenson, I think he's a guy to watch out for, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it was a great tournament. And so we got a lot of good things happening. That was finally, there was a group of guys right there, 3, 4, 5, 6 shots back going into the last 9 holes. And there was multiple people who had a chance. So it was good. Great weekend.
So back to what we were saying, yeah, just a great finish and a really good leaderboard. A lot of guys had chances. And then, of course, here comes, the big bad wolf, Scotty Scheffler, just doing what he does. What I think would be cool, and I've been an advocate for a long time, is when you're on these leaderboards, I would love to see the money that the earnings that come with each position. And if you have the top 10 guys and you see the guy in 10th is like 172,000, and then all of a sudden he makes a bogey and he's gone, and the guys that were going to make 212 are now going to make 290. Or when Thor Bjornsson, if I'm saying his last name right, makes that bogey, he finishes par, he wins around 900 grand and wins instead. Still, he had a great year in 1 week. He makes $469,000, but one bogey is basically worth 500 grand. I mean, that's insane. I think having that on the leaderboard would be cool. So I don't know if anybody's watching that agrees with that, but something.
What if you could hedge the score? What if you go into Vegas on an app in a legal state and then say the guy's at 15 with 3 to go, but he's bogeyed the last 2. Okay, I'm gonna say he's gonna bogey again. What if you could do that with that information?
Man, I think you pretty much can. I mean, we're one step away from just live gambling on CBS where you go to Jim Nance and he's telling you what his parlay is for the last hour. I mean, we're basically
that would be way more entertaining.
Well, but we're basically throwing gambling in everybody's face. Say, here, gamble, gamble, gamble. So let's just add a little bit more element on the broadcast. Quit pretending it's like college football. Quit pretending all these kids are going to college and that they're student athletes. They're many professionals. So let's just let's quit pretending that part, CBS or whoever's covering. But I'd love to see some live action, live earnings for these players. And they love doing all these other stats, 12% chance of winning. He's got a 9% chance of making the FedEx, all these numbers. Well, why not put some real numbers? Because those are real numbers. Like, that's not some number that some kid came up with, says, oh, because the scoring average on the next 3 holes is
Right.
half a stroke over par, so this guy now has an 11 chance. No, no, no. Show me
And
how much
and
money is for second place. That's what I want.
yeah,
That's what I want to see, because that's a real number. It's not some
I
just
got a great
BS
story
thing.
for you too about this, because I think you were the first person to ever point out in my, when we first probably met 15 years ago. We were watching a game and Al Michaels made some kind of comment. And I was 22. I wasn't really growing up in Georgia. You don't gamble. It's not like a real thing. Sure, you have your sports bets for your friends, but he's like, and that touchdown affected those who are thinking about the, whatever. And you said, oh, that's a shout out to all the gamblers. And that makes it tangible for the crowd, right? Then all of a sudden, if you got the over under, but it's 41 or it's 31-17 and it's 49 and a half, late touchdown, as we call the trash, matters now. And so I think those type of comments are warranted. I mean, we are a gambling society. You're right. How many ads, how many sporting events do you watch without a gambling ad?
Everybody's sponsored by it. It's instead of, did you hear that?
No.
Wow. Okay. I hope it doesn't come up. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, every ad you see is I'm not going to say their names because they might want to sponsor the show one day, but let's just say it's Chips Casino, and here I have Marshawn Lynch or Steph Curry or whatever, and they're advertising. Then it's like, if you have a gambling problem, I mean, it's like people that have that's a whole nother line of addiction, but like, that phone number is not going to change that guy. Like, oh, you know what? I do have a problem. Let me call this number. No, the guy's probably figuring out, how do I get a free roll, $5 or $10, and let me parlay this into 1,000, and then
Did you see the
Presti.
guys who did that? They called and bet on whether or not the girl or a guy would answer the phone on the gambling hotline.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was at the driving range the other day, and there's this kid out at our club. Great kid, super sweet. But he's 19, and he's like, I want some blood. And I just, look, I'm not going to play a 19-year-old for money, because I don't want to take their money. Okay. I don't really
lessons of a former generation.
Yeah, I mean, well, I honestly, if someone wants to play me for $1,000, like, I would feel bad. I don't know. I love gambling. I love playing golf. But like, anyway, so the kid's like, I want some blood. Let's go play. And I'm like, let's just flip a coin for $5, because I really don't want to play with you or play. So like, that's one angle to take. But anyway, back to Scottsdale and the topic at hand. A lot of people are calling this, chaos and this, that, and the other, and brings up the question, should golf be leaning into this chaos? Should we, stomp our feet and throw our hands in the air, like, about something that's really, at the end of the day, it's 4 days and it's really a couple days in the desert? I think golf is leaning into it. I think they are trying to do everything they can to bring this sporting generation into golf, which I think is really cool in certain ways, because some people say, is this good for the game? Is it bad for the game? I mean, any kind of press is good press for the most part when it comes to golf. But what moves the needle in golf, and what gets people excited about golf, is the players and being able to connect or relate to a player, or have somebody be so amazing like no one they've ever seen before. Then it creates this whole new generation of fans, a la Tiger Woods, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a culture of Arnold Palmer following, which is what a group looks of a mass of people going to the game. Then there's, to your point, the Tiger, where there's a generational talent. Because I think in my head, the first thing that popped up when you said that was, hey, it would be great to hear more about, oh man, I was standing over that shot on 16, nervous as heck, thinking about this, that, and the other, and couldn't get my swing thoughts right. But Tiger would never tell us that. You know what I mean? So me growing up, privacy in golf is, to your point about the sounds and the noises, that's a big thing. Now that we've grown out of that and we're into this new generation of golf, I think you're right. I think we have to accept that golf as a growing game is a party game. It is.
Well, I mean that's a great point. Tiger, when he said like I don't what water, I don't hear the noise. I mean, it used to be like he's full of shit, but dude, honestly, like I probably believe him. Like I think he's
Yeah.
proven that like
Yeah.
there's a mental level that I don't know if anybody will quite reach that. I'm sure Jack had it, and that kind of goes into like we're gonna have
Well, but how many times did Jack stand over a ball? And I didn't realize this until somebody pointed it out. And even you watch 86 on 16 or on 15, the British commentator, he goes, Jack won't hit the ball until he's absolutely certain he's ready. And he stands there for like 45 seconds.
So, okay, yes, and we'll get back to Scottsdale because I really do want to talk about that. But that's a great point you make about Jack and about Tiger. And it's hard for me to relate golfers to any other athlete other than guys that play individual sports. So you can't say, Tom Brady and Tiger or Michael Jordan. It's not. It's more of, tennis is a good adage. I've always said Rafael Nadal, although was not my favorite tennis player, he played every single point like he was broke. Like he had to win that point. Right, right. And he played every point as if it was the last point he was ever going to play, but then soon it was over, he would move on to the next one. Tiger Woods tried as hard as he could on every single shot. Now that sounds like, yeah, of course, who does that? But you have the ability, even though it's 15 seconds of concentration, you have the ability to hit shots, and sometimes your mind's still thinking about another shot. Or whatever. We're human beings like that. I'm not saying Tiger never did it or Nadal never had, but like the guys that are at that level in those individual sports, the mental focus they have to have for each and every single shot, 100% Jack Nicklaus had that. There's no debating that. I've seen him hit more 2-irons on YouTube to 2 feet. Now, what does that have? That has nothing to do with the
Pebble Beach.
Yeah, or in the British Open. I mean, there's like you could watch a video of Tiger Woods' greatest shots on Sundays, and it's a 15-minute YouTube video. Like Jack Nicklaus hitting great long iron shots is the same thing. You could just watch it whereas pick any other player ever. If you're like, give me Jordan Spieth's best last round at a major YouTube clips, maybe it hits a minute. Tigers was like Tigers was like 14 minutes. But anyway, back to the chaos, good or bad. Like you were saying, how do we deal with it? The pressure, does it compare to majors? And then really, do pros like playing in this? Now, I would think there's certain guys that love it because they've got enough noise in their brain anyway, or they're used to playing at home club with music and bouncing around, that kind of
kids
vibe,
running around the golf course.
Yeah, whatever. That vibe fits their personality. And not to compare, because obviously professionals are way different from mid-amateurs, but I mean, I've played in quite a few tournaments all across the country, and you meet a bunch of different guys that are playing the same kind of tournaments. I'm not talking about college kids and amateurs, but I'm talking about mid-ams. Now, there are guys, they go to a tournament like Gasparilla, and it's overwhelming because they need 45 minutes on the range with their TrackMan. They need, a big old putting green to do their speed drills, all that, all that, right?
Yep. We've seen it.
And that's
everywhere we go, we see it.
And I am not knocking anybody that does that, but I don't do that. And sometimes, honestly, when I get to in these bigger tournaments,
I mean, if I could get you to do it, it'd be great. But I mean, that's a dumb story.
The way I am I'm not going to use myself, but and then obviously you're playing in Gasparilla and there's people everywhere and there's not necessarily music, but there's a rumbling, there's a rustle that never ends. And there's a lot going on. And you get to the 10th hole and it's right by the best outdoor bar in the world. And then you got people on the patio and you're literally like walking through ropes. There's people everywhere and you're teeing the ball up and there's someone 10 feet behind you, not someone, a couple hundred people. And that could be on the second round. And I've played with guys that are like, man, there's a lot going on here. And I'm like, yeah, there is. Now,
welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Right. And it's like, but then, from a tour level, you got the guys that are playing at, probably the U.S. Open isn't a good example, but like just pick at Hilton Head or, Bay Hill. Even Bay Hill, there's a lot of rustle, but it's a pretty, classic kind of event. There's not a bunch of hoopla. There aren't certain signature holes that are lined with tents. I mean, I guess the 8th green at Bay Hill has a lot of tents around it. That's a fun spot. And then obviously the 18th hole, that place is cool, but like the 18th holes, there's, as you know, there's there's houses down the left and then the 17th tee's to the right. So even if you filled it with people, you're only going to have one side. Then you show up at Scottsdale, and you mentioned it last week. I mean, there's water everywhere on that back nine. So you could be coming into 15 either super pumped about how you just played the hole before, or on a heater because you turned an easy birdie into a bogey. You know what I mean? Like, because 15 is the par 5, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've all been there. Like, you come off an eagle or a birdie, like you're walking, peacocking a little bit, and you walk through that tunnel, and bam, here's everybody, and you're jacked. And I think that's what happened to Thornborn. Whatever his club was, let's say the number was,
and that 8 yards comes out of nowhere,
bro. I mean, and even if you're preparing for adrenaline, I mean, obviously, I never made it to that
Stevie
level.
Stevie used to lie to Tiger, bro.
Well,
Stevie used to lie to Tiger all the time.
That's my point. Even when I've been in the heat of the battle, you don't think about it until after, because you're almost thinking, well, yeah, I got this adrenaline. You would think, oh, man, that adrenaline, how did you not know? Well, he's like, well, dude, let's say I normally hit my 8-iron 181. I just flew it 12 extra. I wasn't thinking that, right? Because you don't know.
Well, that's what they get paid for, and I think that goes into what you're talking about in the envelope of chaos is, can you handle your own chaos, right? Can you handle the moments of going, yeah, I mean, Lord knows if I walk through that tunnel coming at 16, I mean, I'd have to have 6 beers in the bag just to be able to throw them around. I just want, and then to come back down and then hit a 158-yard golf shot, like I'd have to hit like gap wedge or something. It wouldn't be a place I would excel. And that, I think, it goes to a testament to the guys who do close this tournament out about how mentally tough they are, right? And you got to stay right there. You got to stay in the moment, be able to be in your peak performance zone, and then execute. That is, and I know in any sport is very, very hard at a high level.
Yeah. I mean, I think the coolest thing is if I were to go through that tunnel and just have everybody start doing the chop,
that old Seminole chop,
maybe a little drum beat in the background. To me, hitting a ball, yes. Hey, and quick shout out: Charlie Woods committed to Florida State recently.
Yeah, he's Seminole.
He joins Miles Russell, who's, I think, top 5 amateur in the world from Atlantic Beach, Florida, who is class of 2027. I don't know if he'll ever make college because it's going to be hard to turn down the pro offers, but I know Charlie Woods is going to college, and let me be the first to say Bobby Bowden Field at Tiger Woods Stadium has a great ring to it. Really, we could really help our NIL program, Tiger. I know you like Stanford, but they got plenty of money. The Knowles. Anyway.
Same color.
Yeah. Cardinal, whatever, Garnet, either way. But shout out to that. This isn't a pro Seminole podcast, but we're not going to talk about the Gators. I'm just going to say that. Other than JC Deacon and the golf team, because I do like that dude. Last but not least, and then we'll get off of Scottsdale for the week, and I'll let you with your follow-up of things you enjoyed with it. Got her up your guy. Great call there. But fans versus traditionalist, okay? And here's kind of the way I'm going to just say this. Like, golf isn't played in silence anymore. It's just not. And honestly, most sports aren't anymore either. The days of when I grew up around golf, there was just so much emphasis on etiquette. Okay, whether it's right or wrong, I'm not here to say that, but that was the deal. Like, you tucked your shirt in all the time. You wore a belt. Right. You took your hat off inside. Now, I'm from the days where you wore nails, and you wore nails in the clubhouse because nobody cared, and then all the carpet got ruined over time, and then they went to soft spikes. But that's for story. But that's the truth. If you want to know why, that's why we got rid of nails. But, the men's locker room, so to speak, was kind of anything goes in there, as far as, like, I can remember being a kid walking into my dad's country club, International Town and Country Club, Northern Virginia, and huge locker room, metal locker. Everybody's in there smoking, old guys naked, walking around out of the shower. Like, and that was like my first, okay, so this is kind of what the country club life is. But then once you get out of that locker room, that same guy that was in there, yes. And, that's gone away. Are there certain clubs that are still very much, what the rules are? The rules are given to you before you arrive, and I think you should respect those rules. And most people
absolutely
do. And the people that don't never come back. But then when you have this kind of tournament, you're basically saying, hey, skinny jean guy with the holes in it who wears a T-shirt, that just likes to get wasted, come on out.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the skinny jean guy can't play golf or anything like that. I mean,
I doubt
that's
he
not what
can.
we're saying here.
I am saying he can't.
I'm not saying he's any good. I'm saying he has a little physical ability to go play, and maybe he does enjoy the game. But with the game comes a responsibility of professional courtesy, or whatever word you would like to associate that with, and vibe, and where you're at, and respectfulness and rules. Yeah, we're not trying to be, we're not making you wear a sport coat, although they do look good. But we are trying to say, hey, look, man, let's give these guys a chance to be at their best of performance in that situation. Or if you're going to somebody's place of basically home, because let's face it, some of these country clubs are second homes for a lot of people, which where they take their families and things like that. There's a way that they want society to feel. No?
Yeah, no, that you're definitely right. I mean, there's a difference between a country club and a public golf personality, and there's a lot of people that are like, they don't like country clubs because of this, that, or the other. But that doesn't necessarily mean that when you show up at one, you're going to act like that because you don't like it. If you don't like it, don't show up. Like, again, these aren't conversations that I really want to get into because everybody has their own thing on that. But my thing on this, as far as the golf environment and fans, and probably the thing that drives me the craziest, and I'm going to say this to everybody out there that's listening. If you drink all the time, you should act like you've done it before. What drives me crazy are people that drink and they act like it's their very first time they've been drunk. Like, either handle it, learn to just find your right, but just to get wasted and then be oblivious to everything. And, maybe you got some things going on in your life and that's why you're leading there. And that's fine. I mean, there's everybody's got those places they go to, and hey, we're here. You want to reach out? Everybody that knows me, anybody who wants to ever DM me or text me, believe me, I know way too much about a lot of this stuff, and I get that. But there's also people that all they want to do is just say, oh, I'm going to go get wasted and heckle and streak and whatever. It's just, to me, I think these golf tournaments need to do a better job of, like, when you go to a football game, Richie, like when you go to an Auburn game, like if I go to an NFL game or a college football game, usually somewhere on that jumbo screen, it says, if there's some fan being an asshole in your neighborhood or in your section, text pound 688, right? There should be some sort of responsibility on the tournament to let everybody that knows that's walking in there, hey, if some guy is doing something, text us. We'll be there. Because you can't...
Security text line for sure.
Right, because the line of, well, I paid my ticket, I should be able to do this, that's bullshit. Because you could pay a ticket to fly on an airplane. You start acting like an asshole, they're going to kick you off and get arrested.
I actually think on the back of a ticket at the PGA Tour, or one of the major events has a code of conduct. Actually, it's probably Augusta is what it is.
Well,
that's what it is.
I mean,
but just as an example. But I understand. But like, hey, look, if you act this way on your ticket, I swear to God, it was an NFL game. It's like, if you act this way, we're going to kick you out. We have that right.
Well, and of course they have that right. My thing is, put it on, like, everybody's in there with a phone. Let them know, hey, if some guy is like, because it just creates these viral moments. And I mean, the fact that we're talking about it is probably way too long. That other guy who's the YouTube kid with the stupid haircut, and he pays somebody to heckle a fan $100 and he's kicked out of golf forever. I mean, whatever. Like, that to me is probably doing more for his brand than like the foul. It's like when they kicked.
Not even going to say his name.
When Luke Potter said that to Rory and then they like banned Luke Potter. It's like, I'm sorry. Like, I know I like Rory, but like, dude, F that. Rory should have been like, no, man, it's cool. I'm a grown up. He's in college. I'm a multimillionaire. I should have thicker skin, and it's okay. But just to be like, there's no place for that. I mean, it's like, come on, dude. There's way worse stuff that you see at many other sporting events. And if anything, from the PGA Tour side, just make it easier for fans to say, hey, this guy is heckling Hideki. This guy is spilling beer all over my mom who's just trying to watch the golf tournament. Okay? And then have somebody, I mean, there's 400,000 people. Have a little bit better, and maybe they did. I'm not getting any. I haven't looked at any kind of stats as far as like disorderly conducts or drunk tanks, whatever. But the drinking culture on the course is certainly part of golf for those that don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't know a lot about golf, and then they start either dating or marry a golfer, and they see some guys and like, man, y'all are
rash surprise,
right? Now, I'm not telling any secrets here, but like, there is a culture of that, of having a good time. But again, dude, if just act like you've done it before, act like you've had a beer before, because whatever
there's way too many people doing things for likes. And that's the problem.
And being stupid and drunk is funny when you're 16. When you're 22, I find it's pathetic and it's really sad. And that's all I'm going to say. And like I said, people think golf crowds are wild. There's a lot of other sports that you could certainly talk about where their fans are even crazier and are allowed to say some ridiculous stuff. So I don't agree with all that either. But yeah, go to a Falcons-Bucks game, or go to any Saints game, really. But a Redskins game, or Commanders now. But when I was a kid going to the Redskins games, man. Okay, I think I was 13.
What was the name of those guys that wore the Pig Max?
The Hogs.
The Hogs. No disrespect. That was a great thing in football.
One of the great O-lines of all time. Well, in those days, with Joe Gibbs. I remember going to a game. I was obviously a huge Dolphin fan. I had a Dolphin starter jacket, all this stuff, and I'm getting pushed around in the bathroom. I'm like 12 years old.
Jacket.
Oh, yeah, it's good stuff, man. But anyway, let's move on from the chaos of golf. Again, great event. Phoenix, Scottsdale, just such a cool place.
Always.
But let's move into something a little bit for our more traditional guys, kind of our old school guys. There's nothing more old school than the Monterey Peninsula and Pebble Beach. What used to be called the Bing Crosby Pro-Am is now called the AT&T, one of the biggest Pro-Ams of the year, the ones where everybody wants to try to play in with some pros. And just like that, by the time you hear this podcast, you'll be less than 24 hours away from the first tee. Spice, let me give me some info on this week, and let's start hearing your thoughts about it.
Yeah, so a little change this year to the formatting. We're actually going down to only 2 golf courses. So we're going to Pebble and Spyglass this year, and we're in twosomes, it looks like, coming up. So that may be a nod to pace of play, which I'm sure we'll talk about as we go along this show. But yeah, 2 golf courses, Spyglass and Pebble. Monterey's off. I don't know if it's weather related or what, but it is not there. They're going to focus on those 2 because it is a signature event field. This, as of last year, I believe it, all the top guys are going to be here. If you go down A to Z, I'm not sure. I've looked through the whole list. I'm not sure who's not here. But let's go. Let's try to figure out who's not in the field, right?
Other than Bryson, the best players in the world are playing in this week, right?
Agreed. Yeah, I mean,
and Patrick Reed.
P. Reed's coming back, right? Hot off a Euro victory. Saw that flash of a top 5 comment. But listen, Pebble's gosh, man, I'd love to go playing the Bing Crosby back in the day, right? When the clam bake was humping and bumping and the parties and all that. And then you got to love the tradition of what is Pebble. It's considered one of the top 5 courses all the time, no matter what list you look at. I think it does get overlooked as a great golf course. I'll go ahead and say that because it's seen so much on TV, etc. But going to be a great week. Got the Pro-Am going on. You'll see some great celebrities. Bill Murray's always out there. There'll be some highlights. Costner. It's a lot of young players. Or a lot of young people in music and industry also who are into golf that are trying to grow the game. Some people you wouldn't think of. So always cool to see them out there. But at the end of the day, hopefully we get good weather. Nobody wants to see it blowing 70 and raining on Sunday at Pebble. We'd like to see a nice telecast and see what we can come up with as far as coming down the stretch of back 9 like this last week.
Yeah. Speaking of the Crosby, just such a great tournament of memories as far as the amateurs and the pros on an iconic golf course that everybody has on their bucket list of public tracks that they can go play. That's the one right there. They're in Bandon in the United States, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Or kind of check every box. The vibe of Monterey, obviously 17-mile drive and the Kodak House and Cypress Point and all those other things make it special. And then the golf course, tiny ass greens and some thick rough. And it's remarkable to see what some of these guys do on this course because, it is not easy. And if you think about in the history of this game, the people that have won on this golf course are some of the greatest players that have ever played. Current and former. Rory won last year. Obviously Tiger's won the U.S. Open there. DJ's won several of the Bob Hopes there. Had a chance to win the U.S. Open. Probably should.
Crosby, but yep.
Bing Crosby, excuse me. Probably should have, or certainly could have won the year Graham McDowell won. But it's just a course that kind of goes back to like mental toughness, man. the ability to look at that tiny green from wherever you're at with the ball either above or below your feet, because there's no flat lies out there, and to be able to hit those shots with the weather. Even zero wind, there's going to be some wind.
Right.
You know, nobody wants to see. I mean, maybe some people love either watching
tormented golf.
Yeah, people miss baskets, and then I guess people make bogeys because everybody's so worried about this dome golf, whatever that means, mentality. But I think to have a showcase event like this with other than a couple of the live guys, the best players in the world, is just a great way to kick off like the first week after the Super Bowl. Talk to me a little.
Great odds too.
Yeah, give me some numbers on this week, and let's talk about who we like.
Well, this is astounding to me because we used to joke about like, okay, it's Tiger versus the field, right? And early action out of FanDuel here, we got Scotty at plus 300, and then Rory is the next person at plus 1,400. Now that is a large disparity to me. And then it goes Siwoo Kim 2,500, Xander, Tommy all 2,500, and then incrementals from there.
Tommy,
but to have Scotty that far ahead is, I mean,
well. Scotty,
yeah, I know. Is it Scotty versus the field every week? Are we really thinking that?
I mean, it kind of is. I mean, think about this. There was like people were freaking out when Scotty shot 73 on Thursday, as if it's kind of like, and I know we were talking about this pre-show, kind of like Rocky IV. You know, when Drago finally gets cut, you're like, oh, okay. And so Scotty chunks a chip shot, and it's all over the internet. And what did that do? He lost the tournament by one shot. He lost after Scotty cut watch. I mean, there was like a cut watch for Scotty.
Are you serious?
On Friday, there was Scotty going to miss the cut. He had missed a cut. And so, I mean, they were already talking about it. And it's kind of like, dude, like, I mean, who knows? Like, it's, God bless golf, right? Because
God bless golf.
That is, right. This guy, yeah, it's him versus the field. I don't think anybody there thinks that I shouldn't say, because I know Rory thinks he's better than Scotty, but he kind of knows that he's not.
You just wonder how much, let's just say this. Last year after the Masters, he certainly didn't put any focus on the last 7 months of the season. He just enjoying the Grand Slam ride, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Rory McIlroy historically comes out of the gate hot, like real hot every year. Plays good golf. Obviously he's been trying to gear up for the Masters, and he obviously thinks Tiger's way of doing things. So last year he won Pebble. A couple years ago, had a couple wins before the Masters. But I can't imagine in my head Rory McIlroy coming out in 2026, right, being like, whatever this year, meh. I don't think that's the same mentality. So your comment on it, he thinks he's better. I absolutely think he's better. He thinks he's better than Scotty Scheffler.
Okay.
I don't think there's a doubt in his mind. And I think that may be the second half of his career. Oh, hey, kid, by the way, I was focused on one thing the last 10 years. Now I'm going to focus on beating you.
Well,
and then maybe here comes Rory's second resurgence.
Yeah, or Scotty gets career Grand Slam done this year, and he's like, hey, bud, I know you're wherever you are on the list of majors, like you're about to go. I'm about to
U.S.
pass
Open?
You.
Is that it?
I think Scotty's got to win the U.S. Open.
Is that right? Okay, yeah, because he won PGA he won British last year.
He won the PGA.
Yep. Okay. U.S. Open. That's a tough one, man. U.S. Open.
He hasn't won the U.S. Open. Seems like he should have. And so Shinnecock too. So Scotty, just bank it right here. So we're gonna start doing this before we keep talking about Pebble. But you mentioned some with Rory, and last week we were talking about Justin Rose and the dog that he is, right? Like that and there's this category of guys that are just players who's. Is he a closer? Is he a leaderboard filler? Which I take. Look, you have to be so good to be on the leaderboard. So yeah. I don't even want to knock that, but there is a difference. Now, Rory is an amazing front runner. If Rory is ahead, if you look historically at the tournaments that he's won, I mean, it is when he decides he's going to kick everybody's ass, kind of like what Scotty's doing. I mean, he was gone. But then there was is he a dog? Is he a clutch player? Rory's 100% a dog. He's got it in him. I think the only thing that makes you think that is just sometimes the body language, and maybe I always remembered that Rory, that anytime any kind of true elements arrived, he struggled, which
yeah, I think He does not like clothing.
Right, right. And, I think pressure exposes real competitors. So clearly the guy's resume speaks for itself. So I'm not saying Rory's not a dog, but like, I don't know if he's got that like Scheffler and, shout out, God bless golf. Like I said, this show isn't faith-based, but we're not afraid to talk about it. But Scheffler is straight out. He stands on the fact that, hey, this is what I believe in. This is who I'm playing for. And I think by him saying all that allows him to keep that inner, that dog. Because what do we always talk about? One thing great athletes and great competitors all have, even if they don't show it all the time, they have that inner rage. You have to have that to be great. You have to have something internally that drives you. Now, doesn't mean you have to act like it and be a jerk and throw clubs and, show out that way, because that's kind of a sign of weakness to me. And we're all
I was going to
guilty.
say that is weakness.
And we're all guilty of it.
Yep.
I'm not. I've been there. We've done it. I'm not saying, but we're all guilty of it. And we all seen Tiger slam clubs, and Koepka and Scheffler even get pissed when he chunks one or whatever. But
Rory's 5 irons at the bottom of the lake in the Bahamas still.
Right. Some of that to me is a little, I don't know, man. The over the head club throw to me, I'm just gonna call it. It's cake boy stuff to me. If you ask me, it's milk toast. You're soft. I don't like it. I never have. I don't think it's cool. I think people that try to make it look cool, like, dude, either snap it over your knee or bang it on the
Jackson that thing.
Yeah, or give me like a Coco Gauff and just slam that wedge into the ground so you are forced to get a new one. Throwing in the club, it's littering. Throwing in the lake, it's littering. You probably killed a turtle. So, guys, quit throwing your clubs in the lakes, all right? Especially you guys on 18. If you want to get rid of your club, go find a kid that wants an autograph and hand him your driver. That's what a real man does. Quit throwing your clubs in the lake on 18 at TPC Sawgrass. All right, that's my take. But
no, it's right. You're not wrong. And I think that back to the dogs, dogs don't do that in the pressure situations. If they make a mistake, like, you're not going to see them drop and kick it. And even though everybody does it, right? None of us are perfect. But when you live up front and you live out front like that, I think it allows you to make mistakes and you don't regret them. You don't keep them internally burning. And I think that's Scotty's deal. I think the last couple of years we've watched Rory internally burn over this Masters thing. And so that shows kind of his personality a little bit of, I'm going to keep it all inside, kind of interior. And then, Scotty's like, it's out there. I made a bogey. What do you want from me? And everybody's like, Scotty, what happened? Did you duff it? He's like, has it?
Did you watch it? Like, it's like,
did you
if you watch somebody like walk into the grocery store and they trip and fall and you walk up and you're like, hey, what happened there? Did you forget how to walk? They're like, no, dude, I just hit the curb. Like, it's so dumb. Sorry.
It's so true.
But obviously to kind of end this on the Rory thing, I mean, example 1 million of Rory, why he is a dog. He had to win the Masters to complete the career Grand Slam, and he did it.
Absolutely.
Like, he's got it in him. If we went to a dogs only category, would he make my top 5? I don't know, but we'll save that for another day. And, like I said, pressure, exposes the real competitors, and not everybody every day, every week is there to handle it. And it's the guys that can deal with it and move past it, even when they're feel their fingers. It's insane. Anyway, to wrap up, Pebble Beach, looking forward to it. Like you said, full field.
Dogs in the field.
Dogs in the field. I'm going to go, my pick, I'm going Tommy Fleetwood. Hopefully the hair is still there. I think it's still flowing. I was of the opinion that if he doesn't win, he needs to cut the hair. Kind of like how I'm about Trevor, like with Trevor Lawrence, like Trevor for the Jags. It's time to cut the hair. You're just not, you haven't done enough to keep that beautiful hair. I say we cut it, come back next year with a new attitude. Love to see you on the golf course too, T-Law. I do love you. You're my daughter's favorite player by a million. But yeah, I think Tommy Fleetwood, little low ball, that beautiful straight / fade. He's got the confidence. He knows he's good. And talk about somebody that shows up and probably thinks he's better than everybody. I think Fleetwood's there. I think Fleetwood has
especially
that mentality.
After last year.
Yeah, I mean, just the way everybody was giving him a hard time, will he ever win? I think I went out and said on a dime, of course he's going to win, because if you're near the front that often, you are eventually going to win.
Yeah. And a great iron player, by the way, right? Is he the best iron player of the generation right now?
I mean, that's
probably Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say Scotty's kind of better. You save all that Strauss gain BS for everything. Scotty's better at everything than everybody, and I don't I don't want to hear anything different. You can tell me
I hear you.
so and so. I mean, maybe the best
That's a
putter.
fact. I mean, you can't argue with stats. You cannot argue with stats.
Right. I mean, the score is you are what you shoot. In strokes gained, they don't hand out trophies for that. So, like, let's be honest. What do we go? So, anyway, looking forward to this week. Like I said, I'm going Tommy Fleetwood. Spice, give me a couple picks, and then let's move on off of this into what the next thing we're going to talk about. Who do you like?
So, I'm going to go out on a harsh limb here. I'm going to go Corey Connors this week. Low draw, smooth swing. Loves to do one thing well, and that's hit that little right to lefter. And that does
Shout
well
out
out there.
Shout out Canada. Big fan of Canada.
Yep, love maple syrup.
Channel 10 in Montreal. Crazy.
And then I got one more for you that's coming out of the dark horse. I think Daniel Berger's going to give me a top 5 this week.
Berger got some TV time. Shout out, speaking of FSU golf, Daniel Berger. I know he's been dealing with some stuff. Good to see him back out there and was actually made the coverage
Agreed.
with a birdie attempt. I don't know if he sniffed where did he finish last week? You got the list up from last week?
I don't.
I know that's fine if you don't. I know he's around 6 or 7 under. On Saturday, don't know how he finished. I know he's had some issues with some injuries, but dog category, like he's in that one. He just hasn't, like he has that, like he's like Mark Dole. Like he's got that kind of dog.
I mean, he's only plus 5,000 to win. That's not that much.
Has he won at Pebble Beach? I mean, he's not going to win.
I think he did win at Pebble Beach.
Right, but he's not winning this week.
I top 5'd him. That's why I top 5'd him. I didn't
there you
give him
go.
the win
Okay.
call.
I hear you. I like it. Okay, so you're saying Corey Connors, and then look out for Tommy Fleetwood. I think Thor Bjornsson comes back and has another good week. I'm not saying top 5, top 10, but I think he plays well. I'm a believer.
Plus 3,500.
Okay, so all right. So Vegas thinks he's relevant. You don't learn anything from losing a golf tournament other than how to lose. You only learn how to win golf tournaments by winning. But to say that because only one guy wins and you can still play well and not win, the lessons learned is, if anything, for Thor Bjornsson is that he can play, like he can be
he
in
can
that
hang.
moment and hang, and those are some of the things that you're trying to deal with, because I mean, shoot, I can talk about this a little bit when we go in our next segment. I mean, I've learned the hard way, playing in some bigger events where you get a little ahead of yourself or let something bother you going forward. It can affect you. So, Tommy Fleetwood for the win. I'm going to go Thor top 10. Richie's going Corey Connors win, and Daniel Berger top 5. So we'll see how accurate those are. And of course, I'm not going to bet either one of those, so I'm sure they're probably
negative,
right, because I just like to bet on basketball. But anyway, let's move on. Spice, what do you got?
So I think coming down here, we got obviously a big week for a lot of amateurs coming up next week, coming to the Florida area. It is Gasparilla week. Everybody's probably starting to think about, it's Wednesday, wrapping up the work week. Want to throw you a couple things. Obviously, you're former champion. Got a couple questions I want to ask you on the golf, on what is golf. Speaking of dogs, there's going to be a lot of dogs that you're going to be competing against next week. Yeah, so Panda, we got a big week coming up. Everybody be migrating down here to South Florida for Gasparilla. We got this next segment dedicated to a little Q&A. Quick, short and answer time for former champion, our 2021 host, Chip Rook. Immediately, I think what we all want to know is, we just got done talking about being a dog. What does it actually feel like standing on an 18th tee, getting ready to win a golf tournament? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Walk us through what it was like in 2021, coming down the stretch to capture your first skull and cross trophy.
Yeah, 18 was cool. Obviously, by the time it was a hell of a day, but by the time we got to 18, it was pretty much me and Tug. I had a 2-shot lead, and I had the tee still, thank God.
Did you like that scenario or no? Would you rather hit second?
No, I wanted to hit first because I wanted to get the tee shot out of the way. The wind was allowing me to hit it so far right that it wasn't even going to sniff the left OB. And I just knew, just hit this ball, just get it. My go-to is to keep my right knee flexed on the takeaway. Like, that's my one thought in pressure. And so once I made the back swing, I knew the knee was still tight, so I ripped through it and bombed it right. And then that was a big shot for me because then Tug hit next. But I knew my anxiety of that tee shot was out of the way.
I can only imagine. I mean, free throws, tee shots, whatever you want to do. Well, obviously getting up to that point, you had a 2-shot lead. So at what point did you kind of look at and obviously amateur tournaments are different, right? You didn't have a scoreboard to watch. Maybe you can check a Golf Genius.
Right.
Are you two-part question? Are you a scoreboard watcher, number one? And then number two, when did you know you had a chance to kind of seal the deal?
So one, I'm not a scoreboard watcher. Because I can go on and on about why I'm not, but I'm not. So to answer your question, I don't watch the scoreboard in this particular situation, especially by the time we got to the 14th hole. It was me and Tug. Like we had kind of brought ourselves
Internal
back to the
scoreboard
field.
kicked in.
Yeah, so I kind of knew where I was. Tug and I had a one-shot lead. Probably hit the best drive of the day for me. He was on the left side, forced to hit a draw onto the green, and just he does not hit a draw. Tug likes to play a fade. So he was trying to hit a draw, hit a little too much, went in the bunker. Where the pin was and where my second shot was on the green, I was like, man, I'm not hoping he's going to make bogey, but it's going to be a tough up and down. He made bogey there, two shot lead with 4 to go. That was probably when I was like, okay, it's my tournament to lose. I didn't say that because that's cliche. It's bullshit.
Right, but that's the point.
But that was the point where I was kind of like, okay, because one shot lead, especially out there, you're not thinking about that. But that second shot that I had, all of a sudden now I'm like, okay, I feel I can free up a little bit. I don't have to. I'm not so stressed so much. And the stress was pretty much gone after the first hour of our round.
So I was going to say, once you got into basically a match play situation, right, coming in down the stretch on 14, did that kind of settle you in, or did that make you a little bit more nervous, or coming down the stretch?
No, certainly. I think it made it a little more comfortable to me. Just match play is just a little bit more comfortable situation, and the fact that I knew it was pretty much Tug and I think we had separated ourselves by about 4 shots from the field. So that week was tough. And that was when I knew.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned and alluded to, I think this is going to be the answer to this following question, but there's always funny things that happen during a week. In order to win a golf tournament or win a sporting event of a long length, whether it be, like a racing event or something like that, something crazy has to happen and go your way, or sometimes something crazy has to happen to make you wake up and play. What was kind of that crazy moment, or what was a funny part that brought your heart back down from your throat and put it in the right spot and kind of got you dialed in to get to that point to Sunday?
Yeah, the crazy moment was, obviously it's been well documented. I've told the story a lot, but the short version is, on the third hole that day, Tug and I hit the wrong ball for our third shots, and we both made double bogey. Now, Tug, and I guess rightfully so, and I love you, Tug, if you're listening, he's like, Chip hit my fucking ball. If he wouldn't have hit my ball, I wouldn't have hit his ball, and blah, blah, blah. And that's probably true. But where we were both standing, it was so obvious that my ball was in the bunker that we didn't even think about it, and yet it was his ball. That, honestly, I made about a 5-footer for double, and I was so internally embarrassed. Like, I cannot believe I just did that. All the nerves I had, which I was nervous, obviously nervous, like my fingers, you can't feel them in your arms, and you're like, am I going to be able to make a shoulder turn and all this stuff, because your body and your brain, and you're trying to like control this. That kind of ended it. And Tug still had the tee after we both made double, and he hit it to like a foot, and then I hit it like 5 feet, and we both made birdie, and we're like, okay. And then the next thing you know, by the time we get to 9, everybody, the guy that we were playing with who had made an eagle and kind of crawled back in, he had made a couple bogeys. Of course, was playing so tough. Tug and I clearly were playing better than everybody that week, and I don't mean that as like, but we're the only 2 guys under par after 3 days on a course where guys shoot low all the time.
Right.
So I just kind of was like, dude, you've been playing well. Yeah, you just made a stupid mistake. But in my brain, I'm like, you know what? I actually did make a par. Yes, I got a 2-shot penalty. But it's not like I hit 2 double crosses and made a double.
You didn't hit it 6 times.
Correct. So, that definitely settled me down for the rest of the day. And then, it was a one-on-one match that, I'll always remember, especially with such a great guy like Doug. Doug, I love you, buddy.
Obviously, you got to make one last question for this segment here. You got to make one putt to win the golf tournament, and sometimes that's a last putt, and sometimes that's a putt on 2, sometimes it's a putt on 7, whatever. What was the one putt that you won the golf tournament with? And it's okay if it's the last one. I mean, I know that was a relatively difficult putt with a lot of people standing around the green, as we've talked about. People change circumstances and pressure. So what's the one putt that week that you had to make, that you made, that felt, made you feel like, all right, here we go?
So the putt on 18, yes. In my memory, I felt like that putt was like 2 feet. But when you watch the video, it wasn't. But I was so sure I was going to make it because it was like left center that it didn't I can't exactly go into that moment, but the putt, to answer your question, final round on 10, I hit it in the bunker left and the pin's back left. So just couldn't have picked a worse spot to hit it. And I hit as good of a bunker shot as I could and landed it on the fringe. It trickled on to about 12 feet and I made that one for par. And to me, that was the putt. Certainly that putt on 10 because I just taken the lead back from Tug on 8. And so he was going to he had already made par. So yeah, that one on 10 for sure.
Yeah, and going into the back nine, I'm sure first hole of the back nine, settle you in, get you going coming down the stretch. You kind of touched on it, a little bit. What's your favorite memory of the week of being a champion? It could be in round, post round, and then we'll head into the rapid fire from here.
Yeah, certainly. So many good ones. I mean, from a personal, emotional, coming up 18 and seeing Lauren there with Ace, who had just woken up from a nap, and he was a year and a couple weeks old.
Oh, yeah, hard tug there for sure.
That's a tough one to beat, but I can honestly say the satisfaction of winning a tournament, but then winning this tournament, and then really, what's funny is what I remember the most is how exhausted I was. For those that know me, I'm not afraid to continue any party anywhere. And it was, I was a first tournament I had won in well, that's not true, but as far as a stroke play, it was the first stroke play tournament I had won in a long time. And this was by far the most pressure packed environment I'd ever been in. And it wore me out. Like I finished 12th.
Absolutely.
And I could go drink all night, but yeah, I kind of wanted to go home and eat some sushi and then maybe get some, Big Mac at midnight or something. But because you know how it is, your nerves are going. You've played high competitive sports at many different times, and some people your guts get going, and it takes a while. Now, granted, I was being handed transfusions like they were giving them away as soon as I won the event, but yeah, without a doubt, just winning and then winning there, the community, everything about it. And we're going to, just so you guys know, we're going to get some interviews this week and talk to some guys Gasparilla, which starts next Thursday. So look out for that. We're going to hopefully grab a hold of some guys and ask them the same questions that Richie was asking me, because the guys we're going to have in the show have been in that moment. Some have won, some have not. It's always good to hear that, these guys are legit. Like, you're a legit golfer, but we're still human beings, and, that's why we love this game. Richie, I lost you there, so it's going to be hard to do this last segment by myself, so hopefully he'll get back in. But can't thank you guys enough, by the way, for those that are listening and joining into this show. The one thing that is one of the reasons why we did this is just because we like to talk golf. I love this game. This game has done a lot for me. It's brought me back from some crazy moments and has created some crazy moments. The chaos in my life, good and bad. There's golf about it, but we appreciate you for tuning into this show. Smash that subscribe button if you love today's show. And then, stay with us each week as each week goes. We don't know what this show is. Is it even a good show? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Am I talking too much? Am I not talking enough? So guess who's back? Richie Spice hopping in. Let's see if we can't get him in here.
Sorry about that, gentlemen. We had a little power issue there.
Okay, so, I'm not saying I'm going to go, backtrack, but, my producer's lost power twice on his computer. What's going on, Richie?
We got a little AC issue here in the house we're currently working with.
All good. All right, we're going to do, a little rapid fire here, a few questions to go with for Richie before we end. And Richie, while you were having your technical difficulty, I was just sharing our appreciation for those that have listened, both of y'all that have listened. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Hope you like this show. Things you like, things you don't like. And then, what could we do to be better? And what do you really like talking about and listening to when you're in the car driving somewhere and you want to talk golf? Hopefully, guys that are driving down for Gasparilla, you listen to this show, send me some nuggets, send me some texts. I'd love to talk about that stuff for next week. What are you doing to get ready? Hey, it's 81 degrees today in Orlando. I'm going to be hitting balls in shorts and a golf shirt. So, Richie, are you ready? Can you keep power for hopefully the last 45 seconds to a minute of this show, and we'll go. Who was your waste management MVP?
Oh, waste management MVP. I got to go with my boy. I mean, he won, obviously, but it being the connection, it being the call. See, Chris Goddard MVP. You got to bomb it, you got to wedge it, you got to putt it. He did all three.
Yeah, great answer. As far as this one should be easy. Super Bowl or final round drama? Which had your attention?
My goodness, final round, no doubt. Was there drama in? Did they play a Super Bowl? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Congrats, Seahawks. But that was god awful.
Thursday Night Football, I believe, was the reference.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was watching a Thursday night football game, and the game kind of ended, and they were like, whatever, and I mean, yeah. And then hearing all these Patriots fans talk about we and us, bro, it ain't we and you. You are a fan. You are not we. You are not us. Like, stop it already.
Agreed.
You don't play. Wear a helmet. Say we. Say us. We are all guilty of it, too, but Patriot fans, like, enough. Pebble Beach, windy, if you could choose.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather play clear skies, 20 plus, or overcast with drizzle and rain? What do you think's more difficult?
More difficult, overcast, drizzle, rain. No doubt. I'd rather have it blowing 20 the same direction and be sunny because I can play that. There's consistency. We used to say it at Bandon all the time, caddying. It's like the sunny days are easy. It's the days that no wind where it's hard to caddy because you can tell a guy to throw it out there over the ocean, and the ocean's going to bring it back. But when it's drizzling, guys going to get in their head mentally. They wear extra clothes. We talked about that. I don't like clothes. People don't like playing in rain. The man over here to my right does not like rain gear one bit, FYI. Nor does he use a rain glove. So as his former caddy, it's great carrying a ninth titleist on the umbrella. So I think that makes a difference, right?
Yeah, and I love, shout out to Titleist and FootJoy. I've been keeping my hands dry and feet good and new balls and clubs and drivers all the time. Love the support, but I don't understand the rain glove thing. People love it. People play golf and I put it on. I feel like I'm handling like precious jewels. Like, how do you even feel anything? Maybe because these paws are calloused up and that soft glove doesn't work for me, but give me a Stay Soft, True Soft, Titleist players. I'll just bring 12 of them and change them when they get wet when it comes to playing in the rain. But yeah, I don't really love rain gear. Cashmere sweater, turtleneck, right up my alley. No rain gear. Okay, 2 more questions. What is the best gambling game on course, in your opinion?
There's no way it's not Scotch Wolf.
Okay. So just so you know, 5-man Scotch Wolf is the only answer. 4-man Scotch is the second answer. 5-man,
so that was
unbelievable game.
I thought it was a trick question, right?
No. That's it. 4-man Scotch, 8 points with keeps and takes. Now that is a different animal. But yeah, 5-man Scotch by far. Roll, re-roll. There's just no better feeling than someone rolling down the fairway and hearing them re-roll you, 20 feet behind you in their cart.
There's a reason TGL uses Scotch Wolf.
Yeah. Do they really have real? Okay, I'm not going to do this. Last question before we go. Range before round or parking lot stretch?
Oh man, I think in my 30s, or my 20s and early 30s, I'd have been like range. Absolutely. You kidding me? But as I'm coming into the year of 40 here for myself, I'm more apt to a quick cocktail in the parking lot stretch. If I can hit a 4-iron off the first tee or something like that, right? My good drive. I mean, I think one of the best things I ever learned in golf mentally was no matter how good you hit it on the range, that means nothing on the first tee. And it took me a long time to play golf that way.
Richie, that is a great segue to end this show. If there's any advice I can give all of you golfers out there, when you get to the first tee, if you see a trash can, look in that trash can, grab your expectations and ball them up, because guess what? It ain't working. Whatever your expectation, you have no idea what's about to happen. You have no idea what is about to happen on the 18 holes you're going to play. So whatever you think, throw them away. You'll be good.
I love that. And I double down on that.
Absolutely. And, as we leave this show, all I can say is hit it straight. And if you're not hitting it straight, aim in the direction opposite of where you're hitting. That's it for us tonight and today. Stay tuned for next week. And like I mentioned before, smash that like button. Tell us what you like about the show. Subscribe to the show. Sponsor the show. Whatever you want to do. I don't care. But I appreciate those that are listening. Richie Spice, we'll see you next week. Amen. God bless golf.
God bless golf, everybody.